everyone, and welcome to the final live panel here on Saturday of MCM. Have we had a good day? Does anyone here play Genshin Impact? That's what I like to hear. So let's not waste any more time and welcome two of the amazing voice actors from Genshin Impact and other wonderful shows that you guys may have seen on Netflix and beyond. Please welcome to the stage, Todd Haberkorn and Cristina Vee! Welcome, guys.
So many people here.
There's a lot. This is the most crowded panel I think we've had here. We've got people standing around the side.
Can I take a video for my
Please
ego?
do. Everyone cheer! Cheer for the video!
Over here
Magnificent.
too. Hey, it's a Benny. Hi guys. Okay.
and at the end, can we do just a little group photo at the end?
Hell yeah!
Yeah. Remind me.
I've got a wide angle on my camera so we can get a proper walking selfie and we'll tweet that out somewhere.
Okay.
So let's start with the basics. What are you doing? How's your Saturday of Comic-Con London been? You don't look happy about this.
It's not that I'm not happy at all. Love coming back here. And thank you, Ed, for manning the ship on this. It's just the jet lag.
I was listening on what's today?
Saturday.
Today is Saturday.
On Friday, I was living high and large because I was exhausted from the plane, slept for 13 hours, got to the convention, I was wide awake, I was like, yeah, jet lag, whatever, I got this. But today I'm like...
Ironically, it's hitting you like a plane. So yeah, that works.
Yes, exactly. But I'm really happy to be here, and it's awesome.
Yes, and hello. Yes, so just the jet lag, that's it. Other than that, I wish you could stay longer because we fly out tomorrow. At noon, we're out.
Yeah,
and so it was such a fast trip, yeah.
Why?
I'm starting a show that I have to...
Yes.
Studio stuff.
Yes.
Happens Monday.
A sneak preview of the future of Todd Haberkorn there. Have you guys been to MCM London before?
This is my first time.
Your first time? Are you enjoying coming to one of the British cons?
I've always wanted to come to this convention in particular.
Really?
Like for me, it was like the pinnacle of making it, getting invited to MCM London.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Yay!
Todd, how about yourself? You've been before?
I have been here before, and some people brought the pictures from before, and we recreated the pose right there. We recreated the pose, and for Multiverse, a new one. But no, I love coming to London. I've been to London many times, and I always try two different adventures. So on the first adventure, I'll ask for directions as an American and see what I get, and then I'll ask with a UK accent and see how the directions differ, and I get better directions the second time. Every time. I always just do one little test. But yeah.
I want to ask now, and maybe I might be putting you on the spot in a room full of Brits, but we as British people often hear American people do a British accent and it doesn't sound as good as they think it does, but you guys are voice actors. Could we hear a line in a British accent?
Well, okay. So there's a book series that I'm about to start narrating again. And when I narrated it the first time, they tried to get Ian McKellen, but he was doing a play in the West End, so he didn't have time in his schedule.
So they asked me to come on board and see if I could narrate for him. So I did this book and narrated the entire thing and sat there and channeled my inner Ian McKellen. So I was Haberkorn, 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 Ian. Haberkorn, 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 Sir Ian.
So yeah.
Very good. Round of applause.
Wow.
Cristina Vee, it is your turn.
Wow.
What is yours compared to Todd's?
I voiced a character in Pokemon named Marnie, and she sounds like this. I'm Marnie from Spikeman. We're gonna have lots of fun together.
Wow, that was really good.
Thanks.
Another round of applause. American voice actors doing British accents flawlessly. That's what we like to see. So, we're talking about voice acting. We're talking specifically about Genshin Impact voice acting. So why don't we start with, could you guys talk us through the characters that you guys voice within Genshin?
Well, I mean, for me, the most voicing I've ever done for it was this recent DLC. Because Razor doesn't talk a lot. Because he's a feral little guy. About that tall. And so now that he's talking more, that excites me, but my sessions, I don't know how long yours are, but when mine happen, they book out big chunks of time, and then like we record like for 15 minutes, like, and that looks like that's all we got today. So, you know, to work on the game is awesome, but for me, I think so many times when we hear that games are going to be popular, I think we're in this cycle now as an audience, as fans of things, where it doesn't, Genshin is the exception. But I think in general when people are like, this thing is hitting so big right now, like you see it all the times in movies, like they slay it at the box office, and then that next weekend they're like, there was a 70% drop in box office ticket sales. And so I think that when you have a fandom that is really big for something, I always say, well, give it a day, and it'll drop. But with Genshin, it's just grown. Yeah. And it's been really nice to see that growth and to be a part of it. And when I first saw the game, I was like, oh, this looks awesome. And so it's been great to hear my friends in the game and see new people being a part of it. And someone was saying, oh, who were they talking to? Ray Chase. And they were like, you should be in Genshin. I'm like, don't worry, he will be. Every actor in the world's going to be in it eventually. Have no fear.
I got in it twice.
Yeah.
I play 2 playable characters, so my sessions are, they book me for the same amount of time, but I do twice the work. So that's my experience.
So you're Bennett and Shinki, is that right?
Shincho.
Shincho, sorry.
Yes.
My bad. Bad at pronunciation. So, you guys obviously have quite a rich backstory of anime things that you guys have been in. The Fate series, Digimon, Beastars, Kobe Can't Communicate being a recent one as well that you're both in. I was wondering, how does the experience of voicing in anime differ from the experience of voicing in a video game? Nobody wants to answer.
So with a video game, anime, what's interesting about anime is it's the most difficult form of VO in the sense that we have to put our own spin on a character in a different language with the same animation. So we've got to fit an entirely different language into the flaps meant for another language. So it's always odd to me that, like the stuff going on with Mob Psycho, that's a thing, when it's the hardest form of VO. With video games, it's usually a blank slate. When we go in and record Destiny, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what scene, very rarely. When we did that scene where we did the video where we're fighting in the ice, that I saw very early animatics for, and we were able to do it to that. But in general, we have to match timing. Like they'll say, okay, Christine, like we were just working on a game, I was like, all right, you need to, your line, here's the original Japanese line, it's 1 second long. You need to make your line 1 second or less to fit the future animation. That's about where the timing goes, so it's a much more free flow recording process than anime. And anime is such an interesting beast because I feel like when I first moved to LA, everyone's like, you voice anime? Ew!
Yes, I know!
Yuck!
Like don't tell anybody.
It didn't get, like, there were studios that are like, we don't want to work with him because he's an anime guy. Now, those same people are like, how do I get into anime? And I'm like, well.
That does seem shocking, because how many people in the audience, by the way, by round of applause, are aspiring voice actors in any way? Quite a few. And how many of you were also inspired by watching anime? So that seems very strange to me.
It was, and then it made that shift where now it's gigantic, but I hope, my concern is that I hope we don't lose something in translation, in the sense that when anime, back in the day, and I mean, when I say back in the day, I mean like the time of Ouran High School Host Club, Soul Leader, things like that. There was only one of those shows that came out for the year or foreseeable future. That was it. So the quality control was really tight because it wasn't about quantity over quality. And I'm not saying that's what happens in anime, but how can it not? How can it not when you're working on shows where it's like, okay, we got to get this episode out like on a simuldub. We got to get this episode out this week. We don't know what happens in episode 2 or 3 or 4, so whatever choices you make, we hope it works. Like, so there, even though we get a ton of anime now more than ever, it's not the same flavor, I'd say, as years ago. But if you're happy with it, then you're happy with it, and that's what counts, right?
Absolutely.
I guess, I don't know. But so it's a different world now, I feel like, with all the streaming platforms.
I feel, especially in the past couple years, so many of my Hunter x Hunter, for example, I did that in maybe 2018, I believe, but it hasn't been until the pandemic where it became so popular, where, like, to the point where I was at a hotel in New York, away from a convention, and the guy was like, the hotel receptionist is like, "Are you Killua?" I was like, how do you know that? It's like, I just know, I love Killua. It's like, oh my god, that's so cool. So it's been, so it's changed a lot too. I feel like there's a lot more recognition and appreciation, and I think it's pretty cool.
That's what's also a weird dynamic, is there's more, it's bigger than ever, but now I think, because you have your shows that are really great that come out, but I think the scope of what comes out, the percentage of the total availability of stuff that is of that quality is different than what it was, because if you only had X amount of shows that came out a year, that same number of shows that comes out a year comes out per week now. And so it's the same amount of personnel working on it, but they just have to do more. And so it's interesting because that's happening, but at the same time you are recognized more now than ever.
Yeah.
For it.
Yes.
So basically, strap in, put your goggles on, helmet on, and just hold on, right?
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what your experience as voice actors was like during the pandemic, where we were having to socially isolate a lot. I'm guessing you guys have home studios at this point?
Yes. So I didn't have a home studio when the pandemic started. I had to move from where I was living for more space, rented a home, and I didn't know what was going to happen because we needed booths. So I ordered a booth. I got really lucky, got it almost right away, but I was really afraid for like a few weeks. I'm like, what's going to happen? How am I going to work? What's going to happen with work? And then the work came a lot. I don't know what happened during the pandemic, but I was working more than ever. Yes, to the point where I had to, for the first time in my career, be like, you know what? I actually can't take every role. And that was very interesting. So it's been a wild ride the past couple years.
I had a residential space. I've had it always. So when the pandemic hit, it was a funky time for everybody. And so just that aspect is just from the human side of things was very interesting. But I find that I've become more of an introvert anyway, because I try to save my energy for conventions when we get to hang out and I get to say hi to y'all. So when I'm not doing a convention, I'm much more introverted than I would normally be. So when the pandemic hit, the introvert side of me kicked in, and I was cool to sit in my, my home and write some novel that'll be discovered 50 years after I'm dead. But work-wise, there was an adjustment period where the whole industry had to figure out how are we going to keep going and record these shows with everybody having a different space. And so you can hear it in very early pandemic stuff. You'll hear that they didn't quite know how to get the uniform sound.
You can, definitely.
But for sure, even in commercials, like I'll hear like, oh, they recorded that on someone's phone.
Yeah.
But like, for example, there's a show called Big Nate that we do for Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon, every one of us recorded remotely. And it sounds like we all recorded in the same space. It sounds so good. So I think we pretty much got that down now. I prefer to record at home now, and my animals do too, as I'm sure the same. And also, if you haven't sat in LA traffic, don't put that on your list of things to do. You're good. You're good.
I listened to a 17-hour audiobook in 2 weeks. In the car.
Wow.
Exclusively. I know. I was like, oh, that's happening now. All right.
So I'd like to bring it back over to Genshin, slightly away from anime. So within something like this, what are the challenges with figuring it? Because like you mentioned, with anime, the character exists. There's a whole Japanese sub of it. They've already done the direction and stuff. So what's the difference between having to, figure out that character for a video game? Are they quite similar? Do they go, here's the character there like this, just go do it? Or do you have to sort of work with them to figure it out yourself?
I think with video games, it's more of a shot in the dark, because not even the director knows where it's really going to go. So like when we worked on that thing that is going to come out at some point, which I want to talk to you about anyways.
Okay.
Don't remind me.
We'll do this later.
But you're kind of trying to just cover all your bases when you're recording it. You're like, let's get one just in case. Like for example, we're talking, we'll be doing this game together, and on this line, let's say the line is like, I'm gonna make you pay, just like that. And so we have to get a couple versions, because I'm like, well, I don't know if the bad guy's gonna be where Ed's at, or if the bad guy is gonna be where Spider-Man's at, or is the bad guy gonna be where that camera's at. So we are so lost sometimes when we're doing that. So that's what makes it trickier than anime, because with anime, I know where the scene's gonna go. So I can gauge how I do it as we're doing it. But like with something like a Destiny, like a Genshin, you'll always notice early on the voice is going to be different than where it ends up presently. So like with Genshin or with Destiny, the voice is pretty different actually from where it is now. And I think that develops over the course of like how much screen time you have in the game, and so you can get to flesh it out. But that's
Usually a picture of the character. And for Bennett, I thought, he looks like Killua. I'm going to do Killua's voice. And then I got Xingqiu at the same time. I was like, he needs to sound different than Killua. So did a different voice.
That's quite a nice way of putting it.
And they gave them to me both.
I just noticed how tiny your hands are. You have very tiny hands.
I'm kind of small. It's probably because I bit off my nails, so it's the illusion.
But you're very small hands.
I'm a small person.
Anyway.
I'm a tiny human.
Yeah, just something to note.
Something to know, yeah, we'll keep that in mind.
Just
Maybe
so
that
you
question will
know.
come back around later.
See, you can barely see him in the back row, right? See? Ah, see?
There we go.
Small.
Small hands. Small
Christina,
hands.
which was your favourite of your two characters? Well, I mean, it's difficult to choose,
answer
but
that
having a favourite
question.
child.
Oh well, I like Bennett's story.
Okay, there we go.
I like how optimistic he is.
Yeah.
Xingqiu, I feel like he's a good kid. He's never had a hard day in his life. Bless him.
But yeah, obviously we can't pick favourites because it is like having a favourite child. It's probably bad to do that.
It's probably some kind of bad luck.
That doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. My mom has a favorite child, and I'm an only child, and it ain't me.
Damn.
It's weird.
This turned into therapy very quickly. But I appreciate you. Right, so I'd like to know, what were some of your favourite scenes as your characters in Genshin that you guys had to act through? If there were any big emotional heights or any of the sort of aggressive battle things, like what were the things that you really enjoyed doing?
You know, for me, because I have such limited dialogue, it's a different approach. So for me, the memorable things are like the fighting, because I'm a boy and I grew up fighting with my toys. So I like the fighting parts where I can get to explore different attacks and things like that, especially when my wolf comes in. So it's a different perspective on that question.
The only thing I can remember, aside from like attack callouts, is we had a scene together and we did it a lot. And I think the only thing I said was,
I'll look out for that.
yeah. It's a good scene. It's heart-touching, heartwarming.
So we've already talked about how there's a handful of people in the audience who are aspiring voice actors. I'd actually like to talk in a slightly weird way about the more negative side of voice acting that people don't see. So what would you say is the hardest part of voice acting that people maybe don't consider? They hear people, you know, who just get to do a voice and then be part of an anime, and maybe they reduce it down to that. What would you say is the hardest thing that people don't really think about?
Okay, I'll keep it short.
Okay.
So, I think it's, well, here's the thing. I think if there is anything to say, and every industry has its negative parts, but I think, in a way, it means it's working, that this negative thing that I'll mention, because what we do is like a magic trick. It's like, I feel like it's the same thing that when I go to a concert and I see a lead guitarist do an amazing guitar solo and they make it look easy, I'm like, I could do that. But I couldn't do that. But but that's the magic trick. So that's the same thing here. So I feel like it's easy for people to troll voice actors because we make it look easy. So we make it look like, so when they go like, Todd Haberkorn should be 6 feet under for the role he voiced in that game. And I'm sitting here thinking like, you want me dead because of the way I did a line in episode 11? You want to sum up my entire existence and self-worth and station on this planet because of how I said that line in episode 11? Okay, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yes. I'll just piggyback off of that.
Yeah.
I think being a public figure in general, which has happened a lot more in the past few years, sometimes people will make you out to be a caricature. And you're a character and you are, you know, they'll like, it's hard online sometimes.
Well, and also the thing is that we all do this. We could see 100 great comments and you see that one bad one and you're like, that's the one I'm focusing on. That's our short-sightedness as humans to do that. But it is tricky sometimes because I think when someone puts a critique or a comment about something online, they don't realize that they're not the only person that we interact with in a public way. So there's only one Cristina Vee, but there might be, and this is a fantasy, there might be 1,000 people that are like, Cristina Vee must go for what she did in the intro on episode 4. But there's only one Cristina Vee, but she receives all of the.
Let me show you something, Todd.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to show you something very relevant.
Yeah.
This is an evil eye bracelet.
You collect all the evil eyes from the
No.
trolls?
These are my victims.
Yeah, that's
These are my victims. No, this is like, it's a list and ward off that exact negativity.
Oh, okay. So, but does that make sense a little bit? But the flip side of that is, though, here's the flip side. The flip side, the positive side of it is that because of things like social media and the stuff that we can stream, video games, anime, it also creates a space where people can use these shows and games that we're a part of as helpful tools to get them through something difficult in their life. Or they make new friends because they come together over a show or a game that they play. I've met people, which I'm sure you have too, they were like, I've been waiting to meet you since I was in grade school watching Fairy Tale. And I've got my mom into it. It got me through this tough time. And that is awesome. That is something you can't bottle that up. It's something that when you find it in the wild, you just take a mental picture of it and use it as a shield when we run into those infrequent, but those negative times.
Yes.
I will say, my brother is a huge Fairy Tale fan, as am I, and I have rubbed this in his face for about a week and a half, so
There we go!
I understand the feeling.
You know what? That's okay. I like that. But yeah, so there are, but again, this is like, in terms of, and in answer to your question from a different angle, in terms of the industry side of things, the negative aspects of the, not so much negative, but just one of the, like when you eat a bowl of cereal, it tastes great, but the negative side is that's a ton of sugar. So that's how I'm coming at this part with the industry. I think sometimes we blur the lines between work and life balance, and we can focus on working too much, I think.
Yes.
Which we all could probably relate to. I think there's that aspect of it, because I think when we are working in an industry that we love and that we since we were kids thinking like, if I could just be in this game, if I could just be in this show, it's a little bit like a genie wish, like a genie granted your wish, it feels like. So it's easy to be like, well, I don't want to disrespect VO by turning this job down or not working 20 hours in a day, because isn't that disrespectful? I think there's that balance and that struggle that we constantly have, and trying to be like, you know what, you have to go take care of your kids, or your you know, answer the trolls online. That takes time. You got to make time for that. You know, anything like that. So
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else? Oh, okay, I was about to say anything else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ditto.
So, just to let everyone know, we are about halfway through this panel. We've got a couple more things that we're going to talk about up here, and then we open the floor to you, the people. So, just by way of raising your hands, who wants to ask questions for the end of this panel? Good. So, when I say go, which won't be yet, you'll see there's a microphone over here, stood lonely as a cloud. That is where you guys will have to go and politely line up, but not yet. We've got a little bit more time here. But then when, you know, we'll give 20 or so minutes to answering some fan questions, if that's okay with you guys.
Awesome.
A couple more things I want to talk about. We've talked about, you know, the difficulty of being a voice actor people don't see. What would you say is the toughest voice that you've ever had to do? Like one that's actually maybe been quite difficult to put strain on for 4 weeks of recording or anything like that? Or if you don't have that, maybe one that was quite emotionally strained.
I had one very challenging recently.
Go on.
I'm not going to say what it is, but it was a very vocally stressful session, and I hadn't had those in many years. So I'm like, I have a great control over my voice. I can do creature sounds. I had to keep telling my agents, like, can you make these sessions shorter, like 30 minutes tops? Because it was just screaming at the top of your lungs.
I was about to say, what kind of straining are we talking?
Screaming as a creature, as a
God.
high-pitched creature, like all out.
So we can't have a preview of that because that would kill you. Oh really? Okay.
That's it. That's all you get. You get pig noise.
Okay, pig noise is still good. It's like Hawk is in the room. It's great. Todd.
Betelgeuse from ReZero was pretty difficult, because he has such highs and lows in split-second intervals of where he goes, and also I did lose my voice because it was so loud. Fairy Tale, when I first started on Fairy Tale, I couldn't go full sessions because it's just constant yelling. But when we were getting through the series, I was able to go full days, but then after that I can't voice anything else. So I try to, which I'm sure you do, put the tough sessions toward the end of the week. There's a show that I'm working on right now, I don't know if it's out, but it's well, I won't say what it's a villain that does a lot of yelling and shouting. I get a lot of the villains that yell and shout now. Like Kung Fu Panda, I was the hamster, Emperor Hamster in that. He does a lot of shouting. But yeah, it's I guess it's because I do it with a smile. They're like, let's pile that on, and I'm like, my throat is like, wait, can I say something? And so, but it's fun, you know. We just try to pace ourselves and make sure that we can do it. But yeah, I would say other than that, like that's the most vocally stressful voice. But for an most difficult emotionally, it's tricky because we're not experiencing the story as you would as an audience member. So we're looking at it very anatomically and medically, if, you know, I feel like. So it's harder to get to that, because when I'm having an emotion as a character in the scene, that's where your training comes in. That's where your professionalism, I feel like, as an actor comes in, because it's not my job to experience that moment with you. My job is to experience the moment, in my opinion, in a real way that makes you experience in a certain way. So when actors talk about their process in prepping for a scene, they're like, I don't want to know what happens, I want to experience in the moment. For me, I'm like, well no, I need to know where my character goes. So if I'm doing a scene and I don't know on the other side of this door is a cliff and I'm gonna fall off this cliff and die and that's it, I need to know that. If it's a surprise, okay. But if I know that I'm gonna fall off the cliff and I'm saying my goodbyes in the room before I walk out that door, that's something I need to know. And so I'm a big prepper. I like to know everything that's gonna happen before I do it. So that's just my process, but so it's hard to get to the real raw emotional spots because I'm there as a performer as opposed to an observer, you know, for me.
Slightly more heavy question. What's the most memorable bit of directing you've ever got throughout your time in voice acting?
Being directed?
Just being, yeah, like maybe a single line that a director said to you, like, that you need to give it more and then said something that no one else has ever put it in a way you've ever thought about. It's quite a specific question, but it's one I think is good to put to you.
For me, I really like Cole. I'm sorry. I can't say for me anymore.
No,
it's claimed by that TikTok.
Lost on us all.
So I did a show very early on in my career called Nautica Magica, and that was a very emotional show, extremely emotional. And I was a really young actor. So me being like early 20s, like I want to do really good, I want to be like a great voice actor. They gave me this really challenging character, but Alex Von David, throughout that entire process, he was a director, he doesn't settle for what is not what the scene needs. Like, he doesn't let anything slide, and I feel like that show really let me cut my teeth as an actor. I feel like it made me a much better actor than I was going into it. And it just kind of like, it was like boot camp for me.
So were you given some quite harsh direction at any point, or stuff that you
He was never harsh, but he was very like, we will do the same line over and over again until it is right.
But it is like boot camp. Drop down and give me 20 more lines. I want to hear 20 more directions of the same thing.
And that character, if you guys haven't seen that show, it's intense. It's very intense, yeah.
Todd, any memorable bits of directing you've ever been given?
You know, it's more so in the theater world versus VO, because with VO, I think that a director is a different kind of facilitator. In video games, a director, I feel, unfortunately, more often than not, is relegated to a position of, you got to get through these amount of lines in this amount of time, and give me alts. They're like almost a babysitter.
I was gonna say, sometimes it feels more like a coordinator or something, just like overseer.
Yes, it's so rare to have directors that get the bandwidth to work with you in a way to where you're really digging your roots in. That's why when you ask that question, because I was a theater guy before VO and before on camera, that's where the harshest directions came. And that's where, at the time, super uncomfortable. But like, looking back, I'm like, that was good for my training. I remember being on stage, doing a show where we were in rehearsal, and the director had me do this monologue again and again and again. And I was very young in my life doing this, and so we were doing it again and again, but I wasn't in the mental headspace for this moment. And so she brought me to tears at doing this so much and so harshly. That was, I'm trying to remember exactly what she said, but it was basically, to give a paraphrasing, it was like, I don't believe what you're doing right now, and you're doing all these tricks to show me your facsimile of this moment, but I need the real moment. And that was good for me here, because I think so many times as actors, and for those of you in theater out here, I think so many times we have tricks. Everybody develops their bag of tricks in their acting career. And usually 9 times out of 10, those will work. So I like to work with those directors that see what my tricks are, get those out of my system, and then we really dive in and do some memorable work. But that's so rare in anime, video games, because in anime, you know, you're asked to do roles that you've probably done the archetype many times over, not because you specifically choose that, but that's what you get cast as. And so it's harder to find that new ground in shows like that, I feel like, you know?
And there's no time.
And there's no time!
There's no
So
time.
it's, yeah, the more nutritious directing for me came in theater. For
So yeah,
sure.
there's no anime vortex going, I don't believe that you're a galactic patrol man, or things like that. I've
Yeah.
seen the facsimile, but I'm not getting galactic patrol man.
Yeah, I did get it once on a when I worked on Resident Evil 2. The director did say, I need to feel, and I was doing playing a zombie, physically, you know, the physicality of it and everything. And I do this whole thing, and we go through this whole landscape of voices and sonic calls and all this kind of stuff. And then afterwards he goes, I want to hear more of the despair that you have of eating those brains. And I'm like,
Whoa! It's quite heavy.
Oh my god.
what? And so I had to take a step back and be like, okay, I don't think you're gonna hear that in a, but I'll do my best. So yeah.
And we got a great performance out of you from
I
that.
hope so, damn it.
So we've got one more question from me, then we're going to open up to the audience questions. This one's a little bit more fun, /silly, /Genshin related. Let's say they're not doing introducing a character that you're voicing. Let's say Cristina Vee and Todd Haberkorn have been put into Genshin. What weapon are you choosing?
What weapon?
Weapon.
Weapon? Oh, okay. When it comes to violence, I'm not good at it.
Okay.
I don't want to be up close. I don't want to touch them.
You're
So
a
I'll shoot
bow.
them with a bow.
Good answer, strong answer. Todd, give this any thought?
I think an XLR cable, so that you know,
Swung like a lasso.
you know when the martial artist swings it around their neck and then loops it under their leg and hits you with the tip of it, like that. With an XLR cable, just whipping it around, and then I can press a button and then little blades come out of the 3 holes.
This sounds like you've given it a lot of thought already. Like, I could use this as
I'm
a
just,
weapon.
yeah,
while
I'm just
recording.
like, summer of 2023, you might see some new merch out there. So,
A
yeah.
little preview of the DLC coming to Genshin next with the XLR cable.
Listen, The Rock does it in Fortnite,
True.
so
True.
it's like, come on.
Maybe you guys will be in Fortnite next as well.
That's
Who knows?
right.
I'm in
So,
Fortnite.
thank you very much for talking to me with all of these questions, but it is now time to hear from our audience. So, people who have questions, carefully, slowly, and politely
my
go and line
goodness.
up behind the microphone here. Don't push, don't shove, just get in line. We'll try and get to as many of you as we can. So just to let you know, there's only 20 more minutes left of this panel.
And then we got to get our quick group shot at the end.
Yes, and so make sure that when you guys are done that you come back and stick around and we'll get a good old selfie and we'll tweet that out somewhere. So who's up first? Can you tell us your name?
Who's on first?
Hi, my name's Molly.
Hi, Molly.
Can I ask 2 questions or just one?
There's a lot of people behind you, so ideally just, unless they're both one-word answer sort of quick.
Okay, do you ever read fan fiction or take in fan content from like fans?
Only the fan art you tag me in.
Yeah.
Very short answer for you. What was your second question going to be?
Do you ever take liberties with the scripts you were given and basically like improvising?
Not without express direction or permission to do so.
When I'm directing, I typically have to rewrite basically the whole show, so I'll do it then.
Thank you very much for your question. We're going to try and get through as many as we can because there's
Thank
a lot of you
you.
in that line and we'd like to try and get to as many as we can. If we don't get to your question, I'm terribly sorry, but make sure you come and sit down and join the big picture in the end. Then we won't be missing out on. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Ari.
Hi, Ari.
My question is, what's the casting process like? Like, is it very competitive? Is it very long? Or
For Genshin.
for like any voice acting role?
Yes and yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's because we're going up against people that are coming into the industry for day one, and we're also going up against our inspirations for VO. We're going up against every generation of voice actor before us.
Yes.
And we're in but it is competitive because there are a lot of good people, but there's also a lot of shitty actors out there. And I'm like, more the better. That highlights the good ones. Bring it on. Continue to be bad. That's what I'd say to the competition.
I hope that answers your question. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Anna, and my question is for both of you. Do you guys relate to any Genshin Impact characters?
I am not related to any of them. Just kidding. I'll relate to the sleepy ones. Do you?
I relate to Razor because I feel like I always feel like an outsider. Like whether it was in school or even in the industry, I don't hang out with a lot of people, so like Razor is kind of on his own, and I've always felt like that my entire life.
Aww.
So yeah.
Are we back to therapy again? Is this sort of... We'll take you out for a beer later, Todd.
Just my life, just my life.
Thank you very much for your question, though, Anna.
Thank you.
Hello, I love your dress. Or top. It looked like a dress from here.
My name is Rakaya, and my question is, what is your favorite line from the Genshin Impact characters you voiced?
Can you remember any of the individual lines?
Oh gosh.
Actually, I think I have scripts from the previous.
Oh, nice.
I'm just gonna look up. Let's see, but I wouldn't have yours.
I only know what people ask me to sign, and that's Benny's Adventure Team Assemble. Books, and something about my dad's. And for Shincho, may knowledge guide you.
Cool. Todd may eventually get back to you with a voice.
Hurry, Todd,
In the meantime, we can maybe answer the next question, and Todd will continue to scroll. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Ciel.
Hi, Ciel.
My question is, has there ever been a role that you had to turn down because you filmed some of it, but your voice has changed and you've had to back out of it?
I've backed out of a couple roles for content, but never because my voice has changed. I still sound like a child. Tap.
When we were working on the ReZero prequel, I was voicing Betelgeuse before he became evil. And I was working on that show, and we finished a couple sessions, and then when the show came out, it wasn't me.
What? Rude.
Did you find out with the rest of us that it wasn't you?
No, but that was the one time that's happened.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. But I got to do the fun version of it, so there we go.
Was he like a little kid or something?
No, it wasn't a little kid. It was him before he went crazy.
Yes.
So like he was just very like guy next door, pleasant, nice guy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I see.
I hope that answers your question. We will move on to our next one. Hello, you have blue hair. What's your name?
I'm Rain.
Hi, Rain.
My question is, what Genshin visions do you think you guys would have?
What Genshin visions would you have?
You first.
I would. Is Air one? Am I thinking Avatar? Help.
Both.
Cool. I'd be an air one. Wait, no, there's fire and water and electro and air? I'm hearing octopus. I know that's not right.
We all remember the octopus vision.
Octopus vision.
What about you,
Arrow.
John? You an octopus?
Is that it?
Octopus kind of guy?
Yeah, because I actually want a pet octopus, so that works.
No, don't get them.
Why?
Because they live 2 years and they will break your heart and die.
Oh, they only live 2 years?
Yes! Sorry, therapy.
Back to
I'm sorry.
therapy.
Did you ever watch my octopus teacher?
No. I didn't watch it because I heard about like a sad thing in it. And then I was like, I don't need that.
Say exactly. You don't need that.
I see
Appreciate
too
them
much
as a whole.
sad stuff anyway.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but it's really sad.
But I am watching Dahmer.
No!
What the hell?
I'm working my way. Well, because we have, number one, we have so many people on the planet. What?
So let's eat a few.
And also, the humans, we always think we're the heroes in the stories. We're the villains. Think about what happens when aliens come to this planet. You know why they attack us first? Because they know we would have done it to them first. What do we do when we get aliens? We try to take them and dissect them and figure out what do they have, what gifts do they have that we can steal from them. So if there's someone out there who's like reducing the population a little bit, we can stand to do it. Remember when the pandemic hit, the waters in Italy cleared up, the skies in China got cleaner. So are we really, we got 8 billion people. Do we need all of us?
Todd, is everything okay?
Happy Halloween!
I mean, do we really need all of us?
Does that answer your question?
What's that? Well, no, I'm part octopus. I'm not, so it doesn't count. Yeah, so I'm actually living beyond the expectation.
Hey, somebody told me that I'm an alien.
See, you know what? And
We have to dissect Cristina
And
Vee.
it's very, that's what we would do, wouldn't we? So, what's that? I have 3 brains and 3 hearts,
You should know this, you're part octopus.
but I wasn't raised with my octopus parents.
Ah, right, they wouldn't tell
That's
you about
also on Netflix.
My octopus dad took off when I was a kid.
Oh god, it's
So
also makes sense.
I was stuck with my human mom.
I don't know what this just turned into by this point, but I'm loving it. This is great. Who expected Todd Haberkorn to be going, I'm part octopus, people all need to die.
See, that's the only thing that you're gonna walk away from with this panel. Todd said humans can die. And I'm like, we talked about Genshin!
Did anyone film that moment, by the way? Because I'm going to watch that back later. Okay, thank you very much for your question, though. Hello, we've got wings and multicolored hair. What's your name?
My name is Axel.
Hi, Axel. What's your question?
I have a question for Christina. This is kind of weird, but what's
Yes.
your opinion on Ladybug and Fatma's relationship?
On their current relationship?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm not sure where all of you are. Listen, I hope one day they end up together happy, but I also feel, listen, date some people first. Become whole people, and then they can get married and have children and a hamster.
No, cats.
Cats?
Cats are better.
But what about,
Kittens.
I love cats. I have 2 naked cats.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Thank you. Greasy little boys, they're my family.
I want a naked cat now.
Oh yes, please get one, they're the
I
best.
will. I'll take a picture.
And you can name it Marinette.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Thank you for your question. Who's
Thank
up
you.
next? Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Clara.
Hi, Clara. What's your question?
My question is, apart from the characters that you guys voice, which characters would you like to voice and why?
I haven't been in Persona. I would love to be in Persona. I would love to be in Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
I'd love to be in basically anything I haven't been in, I want roles in. Like Demon Slayer, I have not cracked yet.
Yeah, I would like to voice, my voice doesn't fit it, but Batman would be cool.
I'm Batman.
Yeah,
That'd be
see?
great.
There we go. And then, yeah, anything in the world of Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to notice that every time we ask a question, you have this amazing look of like, you don't know because you weren't there, man, sort of in your eyes while you're really thinking about some of the questions.
There's
a wonderful intensity to you,
It's
Tom. I
my
love
third octopus brain.
it. Callback. Thank you very much for your question. Who's up next? By the way, if you want to tilt that microphone towards your face, please feel free so we can hear you a bit better. Hello, what's your name?
My name's Talia.
Hi, Talia. What's your question?
Out of all the characters you played, who do you relate to most?
Well, my most normal, I feel like that's not a pig or a duck, is Marinette. I can relate to being Marinette, being that girl.
Yoda.
Like Yoda? What? When? Where? How?
When I am a narrator for the High Republic book series.
Nice.
And Yoda's in those.
Whoa!
Can you give us a line of your Yoda?
Come, London, it is my favorite.
Wow!
Round of applause for Yoda!
Yoda!
I hope that answers your question though. Thank you very much for asking. Who's up next? I love your hat.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Kate.
Hi.
My question is for Todd. Was it a welcoming change to have more lines speaking with Raven?
Yeah, it surprised me because when we booked the session, they booked a long chunk of time, and I was like, really? Because usually the sessions are like literally 15 minutes. And I was like, do they need, because sometimes the studio will book the time and then they'll reduce it as we get closer. And they're like, no, they need that whole time. And then I thought, because sometimes I'll get cast on something and then they're like, it wasn't supposed to be me, they messed up. So I was like, maybe that's the situation. But no, it was like it was so nice to have all those lines. It was very nice. Pleasant. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
question. Who's up next? Cool glasses, dude. A nice waistcoat. Sorry, you're going to speak to the mic. We can't really hear
Yeah,
it.
tip that whole
Do you want to tilt it up towards you instead of squatting? It's okay.
I squat every day, it's fine.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. What's your name?
Harrison.
Hi, Harrison. What's your question?
As a small voice actor, like most of us here, what is the best way, in your opinion, to advertise our work? Or just the things we can
To advertise your work. I always say you don't need to wait for somebody to give you permission to do it. So, I mean, I used to post stuff on YouTube and I would get millions of views and I got a lot of work that way. And now the new thing is TikTok. In fact, I saw a voice actor on TikTok and they were doing like impressions of a game that I direct. And they were amazing. So when that game came around again, we needed a new character popped up, and I was like, who would fit this character? And I thought that person that I saw on that TikTok, they're amazing. Their voice, like their natural speaking voice, would be perfect for this. And now they're a main character in the sequel of that game. So just put yourself out there.
Todd, any advice?
Yeah, it's just like fishing. It's like you're going to increase your odds of catching a fish and hopefully throwing it back. But you're going to increase your odds of catching a fish the more you fish. So if you go into the pond one time, you better hope you've got a great hook. But if you don't, going back each time just increases the probability, you know? Because it's not about talent. It isn't. If you think about it, McDonald's is not the best burger on the planet. But everybody knows about McDonald's, and there's a McDonald's all over the world. But it's not the best burger. So it's not about talent. It's about how many opportunities do you have in front of you. Because we both work with a lot of people, and we can smell it when they're a McDonald's burger. But they're still in. So yeah, I think it's really just about how many times are you putting your hook in the pond.
I know you didn't ask me, but as a voice actor myself as well, considerably less good than what these guys do. TikTok and things, especially in the UK, has been a massive help. I got a voice in a commercial from doing spoofs of British adverts like, are you paying too much for your car insurance? And those people get in touch and they do work. So echoing what Christina said and what Todd said, just put yourself out there as well as you can. You can only do well. You want what?
Chicken nuggets.
Did McDonald's make you think of chicken nuggets?
Amazing how no matter where in the world you get McDonald's chicken nuggets, they taste the same. I don't eat them, but I know they taste the same.
They're barely meat, Todd. They're barely meat.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you very much for your question, though. Just, could you raise your hand if you're in the line? Because I can't see where the line ends.
Oh,
good lord.
We have 3 minutes left.
We do not have very long left, so we could probably take 1 or 2
Well,
more
but if they ask their questions all at once.
Yeah, show your question. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Danielle.
Hi, Danielle.
I love that it's Christina's middle name as well.
That's my name.
Take your time, it's alright.
inspires you the most that could potentially inspire aspiring voice actors?
I might be in love with Tara Strong and Grey Delisle and Cree Summer, and I love them.
Wow, that's a good question. Gosh, that's tough.
Say Cristina Vee.
Besides Christina,
Good answer.
gosh, I mean, Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's,
Hamill!
yeah, you know, my Batman guys. They're all very, very talented, very, you know, you've got people like, that are inspirational because of who they are as people. So like a Rob Paulson is a very kind soul. But yeah, there's so many, and we're so grateful to have those opportunities to work with them when we can. So yeah, lots of folks.
So I'm afraid we've only got time for one more. Thank you very much for your question. We've only got time for one more, but all of you who are in the line, do you want to come and sit down so you can be a part of the photo that we're going to take in just a moment? Because we don't want any of you to miss out on that. Thank you for queuing. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to get to your questions, but we're
That
running.
means we just gotta come back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys have to come back in May or October next year. We'll do this again. It'll be great.
Yes.
But what was your name, sorry? And what is your question?
In Genshin Impact, apart from the characters you voice act, who is your favourite?
My favorite character design, I love Ganyu and Zhongli.
Thumbs up going on. People are happy with that answer.
Who was? Oh, because I can remember the visual.
Describe to
Hold
me.
on. I want to know the name.
Who's the voice actor?
Oh, I don't know. I just like the sound when I heard them when we were in session. Here we go. It is. Hang on a minute. This is going to be the length of a Hulu commercial. Just give it time. Let's see.
I'm going to start setting up my phone for the picture.
Yeah, do it.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to steal this. Hacha. Kacha.
Look at this. This is Cristina Vee TikTok techniques.
Pikachu. There we go. We've got that. Wow, there's so many of you. Look at that. Okay.
The internet's fantastic in this building, by the way. Tartaglia.
Child. That's this
Oh,
one.
a good choice, clearly.
Griffin Burns.
Oh, Griffin. Okay.
That's his boy.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your question, guys. Before we just bring this to an end, let's give it up one more time for Todd Haberkorn and Cristina Vee, your amazing voice actors from Genshin Impact. So what we're going to do, I've got a wide angle on this phone, so I'm going to make sure we try and get this sent to the MCM London lot so they can actually put this one out or retweet it. So you'll see it on there. But we're going to get in a big old wide shot. Everyone cheer for us, okay? 3, 2, 1, cheer! I'm filming a video of this one as well. Right, 3, 2, 1! Awesome. Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on to this. This has been the last live panel of Saturday. But we do have the cosplay competition being streamed up here in just a moment if you want to watch that. But thank you very much, everyone. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care. Have a good Saturday night. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.